perspective on what is happening right under your nose. By Friday morning, parts of Kampala's central business district looked noticeably different, and so has been the case through Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and as we work to Tuesday, so many people hoping that that is the same picture that they're going to be walking through and experiencing, especially in the CBD streets that had long been choked by the informal trade and traffic congestion. We're now clearer and continue to be clearer. You do have pedestrians moving freely between Barton Street, Loam Street and Benchuanuka. You do have the non-motorized lane now having people walking on it, not borders, and also not being choked by street vendors who had uptaken the entire lane for themselves. And this is what authorities have described as the first phase of the restoration of order in the capital. And hopefully this should be a reflection to the order that should be reflected in the other cities around the country. Barara also saying that in 2 weeks' time, they also gave a directive that in 2 weeks' time, street vendors should be cleared off the city of Barara. That being said, security patrols remain visible across the CBD up until now, underscoring what officials say is a new enforcement posture that is following the conclusion of the 2026 general elections. Now, this transformation is good. So many people are actually giving it a thumbs up, but it's coming at a critical time for our capital. One of the realities we must put and factor in here is that Kampala's daytime population has now exceeded 4 million people, of course, with the resident population of about 1.7 million Ugandans. And this is according to UBO's projections. The city contributing over 60% of Uganda's GDP, making it the country's economic heartbeat. We also have to factor in that KCCA budget for the current financial year running is now at 955.93 billion Ugandan shillings, almost clocking to $1 trillion, hopefully, in the next financial year, with approximately 460.3 billion Ugandan shillings having been released by Q2. And then KCCA also having requested an additional 200 billion to boost infrastructure, the drainage systems and the urban services that you have been requiring need maintenance or improvement. Meanwhile, Kampala generating an estimated 2,500 to 3,000 ton of waste daily, and with disposal challenges persisting following the strain on landfill capacity since 2024. That's another thing that we also have to put into consideration when having the discussion for this day. Urban flooding continues also to affect us as a capital, with billions annually in infrastructure damage and productivity loss, and also low-lying areas like Bwaise and the Clock Tower repeatedly being affected by heavy rains, or also the Lugogo bypass, to mention but a few hotspots around the capital city. As if that's not enough, there's also the element of increased crime, especially in densely populated spaces, and that is something else that has to be put into context while we have this conversation. So in our Kickstarter this morning, we are going to be looking to Kampala's high-rise transformation in 2026, and are we looking at it as a structured urban rebirth or something else altogether? I am Priscilla Regina Naloga. Welcome to this discussion. My guest this morning is Sheikh Kasim Kamjisha.
Yes.
I don't know how to say the rightful Muslim line for the fasting period, but if you may, give us your salutations in the Muslim way.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Thumma wassalatu wassalamu ala man la nabiyya ba'dahu. Muhammad ibn Abdullahi salawatullahi wassalamu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Amma ba'd. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, all viewers of NTV, and especially our brothers, the Muslims, who are observing the holy month of Ramadan. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said in one of the hadith that was narrated by Abu Hurairah radhiyallahu anhu, man sama Ramadana imanan wa ihtisaban ghufira lahu ma taqaddama min dhanbi, rawahu ash-shaykhan Bukhari wa Muslim. The Prophet said in one of the hadith that whoever observes the month of Ramadan imanan, with full faith, وَإِحْسَابًا, and expecting reward from the Almighty, is forgiven all that went wrong before the holy month of Ramadan and what will come after Ramadan. So everybody observing the month of Ramadan, I just want to say Ramadan Kareem, Ramadan Mubarak, and observe it as your last month of Ramadan, because you have no assurance of being alive the following day.
All right. Thank you very much. And indeed, also the street vendors did not have assurance on the 18th of February that they would actually stay on the streets with the directive that had been given by the KCCA authority. And so as we're observing the holy month of Ramadan, we're also observing changes within our capital city, Sheikh. And that being said, removal of the roadside vendors in Kampala and its immediate turn to the new leadership. How do you actually perceive this?
Well, I'm coming from an angle where I served in Kampala Capital City Authority as a deputy RCC for close to 3 years. And without fear of contradiction, this was overdue. It should have been done as early as 2015, because there is no progressive city in the world that will accommodate uncoordinated disorganization within the CBD. And for some of you, the viewers and us who have moved outside Uganda, cities that have moved because at some point the state comes in, but with the goodwill of the body politic, to ensure that there is trade order, there is organization, and there is follow of stipulated rules and regulations in terms of management of the city. So the KCCA, Kampala Capital City Authority, had delayed us for quite some time, because it is a cardinal mandate of the authority to plan, organize, and set up a clear management of our city, Kampala. But you remember when the KCC Act was being enacted, and even after its enactment, the appointment of the first executive director, there was a lot of resentment, especially from the body politic. And to me, the body politic was interfering with the would-be work of the authority in management of the city. And to me, I think it was because of two things. One, the need to survive, the need for survival politically. That when there is order and organization of the city, politicians who survive on emotions of the people of Kampala would collapse politically. But also, number two, there was just what they call tubaremese. Let us fail the operations of the authority, operations of the government, and we keep afloat. So to me, the body politic had jumped off its cardinal mandate of oversight into the planning and management of the city to satisfy their political ambitions, and therefore it took us very many years to come to where we are. My prayer would be one, sustainability of what took place on Friday. Sustainability of the political will. Because from Friday up to now, I have not heard many dissenting voices from the body politic vis-a-vis what took place. Maybe the dissent is silent, but from what it had been before, you would see flares everywhere in the air about touching the vendors and all that. I remember my brother Hussein, when he was the RCC of Kampala, there was an attempt. That was in 2021, I think. But there was a lot of confrontation from the body politic, and everything collapsed. But as of now, you see a lot of acceptance. I wouldn't want to say that because there is a transition, there is exit and entry.
Now you've actually opened up the can of worms into which direction I wanted to take. Let's be realistic.
So I don't know if because of exit and entry. Yes.
Every elective cycle that we go through between from 1 year to the election year, we get to see an increase of people on the street, especially street vendors in this case that we are talking about.
Yes.
And usually, and you've had it yourself, that the president at that given time gives an order and says, no, those are my voters, those are my people, please leave them on a living. Right? And so that contributes to what KCCA later has to deal with after any given cycle or election. We have seen videos and you have seen people on social media, saying that, no, you people came here and promised us that you would protect us and cover us and keep us in business where we are. And in exchange, we shall vote for you. And now you're the very same people coming and taking away that commitment that you made to us after using us, quote unquote. These are their words that they're saying. So we're looking to two elements here. You do have the running city authority from the ministry to the authority, and you now, especially from the ministry side where it's now influenced with politics, you do have the political leaders that were standing in the elective cycle and having gone through. So they made different commitments at that time, and now they have to wear their ministerial hat again. You also do have the other angle where you do have the incoming administration that is coming through, the politicking body that is coming through, that has to deal with this issue because, quote unquote, people are thinking that they're already in business and in office, yet they have not even yet been sworn in.
There's something I want to debunk before I enter into the depth of your line. One, it's true the president has been coming in to give guidance in terms of protecting our people in Kampala. And the president has been coming in from an angle of where there is confusion between the body politic and the technical wing of KCCA. In the sense that the KCCA would be having a direction, the body politic would be having a direction, and because of two different directions, the people would be confused on what next, how to approach everything. But if you could agree with me, I think this time there seems to be an agreed direction from both the technical wing and the body politic on where the Kampala capital city and the CBD especially should look like. That is why there are very few dissenting voices, if any, from the body politic. And I think if there were dissenting voices from either of the bodies, either the technical wing or the body politic, the president would have come in to protect our people. But because it seems a consensus that Kampala should take a different direction and a different picture in terms of trade order management, I think that's why you are not hearing a lot of contradictions, and therefore the president does not need to come in because there seems to be an agreement. Actually, I was impressed yesterday when I saw the Uganda Revenue Authority removing its kiosk, following a tweet from one of the journalists, if I could mention the name, Sudhir Yaruhanga. He sent a tweet at night. In the morning, URA was removing the kiosk. So there seems to be concern that from where we are moving as a country, Kampala must be organized. Now, there has to be dissent within the people themselves, because a human being will always want to survive where there is chaos, Regina. The Mutembe will always want to survive in front of the shop of the person paying rent in the building, because he can't afford rent and he must survive in the city. But now let us strike a balance between having an organized city, also having traders who pay taxes and they're inside shops, and they're being blocked by vendors. What do? You must come in with a direction. And you see, part of the cardinal role of the state, if we are moving from the national objectives and principles of state policy, the state has a role of guiding and facilitating development. And part of guidance is to ensure that you have got an organized Kampala. Facilitating is equipping Kampala Capital City Authority with whatever it needs to take charge of the city, especially the CBD. And so that brings us to why you are seeing patrols, especially police-led, because KCCA does not have the coercive arm, but we must have a clean city. And so therefore you must have to support the KCCA to ensure that there is guidance and there is achievement of the objective of KCCA in terms of managing the city. Now, when we come to the entrance and exit, I don't think is majorly the explanation as to why there is silence. Mm-hmm. I think even those ones who are at the exit, in their heart of hearts, agree that Kampala needs to be organized. I think the sitting road mayor, in his heart of hearts, agrees with himself that Kampala needs a facelift. Because I think from the visits which they have been taking to the outside world, in Europe, Far East Asia, South America, they must have seen a different picture of cities in those areas. But because there was a need of political survival, because there was a need of keeping afloat, selfishly, a human being would say, "Chino kanche sigalize." But I think in the hearts of hearts, they were willing to have a clean city. Now, for those ones who are coming, the people must forgive the incoming road mayor, because as of now, he doesn't have instruments of power. He's simply a road mayor elect. So whatever is happening because the exiting road mayor, in his heart of hearts, doesn't see a reason why he should come to stop what he has been going to benchmark on in the outside world. And in any case, he's no longer going to be the road mayor. So to me, I think really every Ugandan who is progressive in mind, who has visited other areas, look at our neighbors here in the south, Rwanda, go to Dar es Salaam, go to Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, go to the Middle East, would wish to see Kampala cleaned up as it was done. Mm-hmm. My greatest worry is sustainability of this cleanup. Number two, the continuous political will that we have seen. If it can be sustained, we can have Kampala at another level. However, the issue of the 4 million should also go back to what is our strategic programming as a country in terms of having various cities. For example, you have Kampala as a business center. Are we thinking about having another area? For example, going back to NTV as an administrative city. Are we thinking about having Nakasongola, for example, upgraded into something else which can reduce congestion? So it's really a very broader discussion that needs to be taken on by various stakeholders, and I think media can play a very good role.
And media has played its part. The other stakeholders, the ones not playing their part. You have talked about sustainability, and interesting enough, yesterday we were with Honorable Musila, who also emphasized the same thing, that continuity of some of these orders that are effected. We get to look at this not being the first trade order that was effected. You do have 2023 to 2024 street vendor evictions in the CBD. You do have in 2020 the presidential directive on markets, and that also included taxi parks. You also do have another trade order that was in 2019, crackdown on unlicensed arcades, and still this also affected the street vendors. There was also another one in 2016. So there have been quite a number of various trade orders in just a space of 10 years. Yes. Now, with all other factors constant, the reality of the matter that sits before us is that there's not been effectiveness or sustainability of these trade orders. Yeah. Could you give us an indication as to why?
I think the answer lies within my earlier submission, that these trade orders, I agree with you, have been there. They could be even more than what you have mentioned. But the only missing link has been the willingness from the body politic, whereby the survival of some political leaders within our metropolitan is based on the dirty look of Kampala, because then their manifesto survives on that. And from what I know, because I know...
So just out of curiosity, and allow me to just first interrogate what you've said, that the survival of the body politicking is based on how bad Kampala looks and how dirty it is presentable right now as we speak. To what advantage does that help with their political profiling and positioning and agendas?
You see, Regina, let's be realistic. Because we are speaking to people who have been following what happens within our Kampala. As an investigative journalist, I would give you a simple homework that you present with us the manifestos of the leaders that we have in Kampala today, who will be exiting in terms of how they would want Kampala to look like. And for me, I would really summarize it and say, the only manifesto was playing on the emotions of the people of Kampala. That look, the government has neglected you. But how? When you are sabotaging every other program of KCCA. How? When the only talking point is creating unnecessary wars towards the organization of the city. So really, the survival of some of the political players has been on how bad the city must look. And that is why I think when there was a change of slogan in terms of the politicking this time, especially for the highest political seat of Kampala, the KCCA, people said, I think we are moving toward the right direction. When someone is telling you that we need to have tarmac everywhere and the size of tarmac should be this and this. One time I was listening to the road mayor-elect, Honorable Barimwezo. He made a critical analysis, which I found to be very objective. He was telling us and the country how the size of tarmac should look like. He was telling us why tarmac can't survive when there is no drainage system in place. And I think this is a mayor whom Kampala wants. You see, you can survive in the politics of Kampala if the people see objectivity in you. Because me and you, Regina, and the viewers would want to see water flowing in Kampala, would want to see a very good infrastructure of road network in Kampala. This issue of antagonizing whatever cases here comes up cannot take us anywhere as a country. So I think with the current body politic, which in my view seems to be objective, we might have a different face of Kampala as long as there is that political will within the offices.
All right, well, the saying goes, speak of the devil and it appears. Honorable Engineer Barimwezo is joining us on set this morning, and he is the mayor-elect of Kampala capital. Good morning to you. Good
morning, sister, and good morning to you viewers.
First of all, allow me to say congratulations.
Thank you.
So we last met before you were elected.
Sure. Thank you.
So it's been a long journey for you.
It has been a long journey.
Yes. It's just been a few days, to be exact, a month since the cycle, we went through that cycle. But I know that so many things have actually come to your reality as you're picking up the mantle, as you're heading to the journey of being sworn in for your elective position.
Sure, a number of things have gone on, but first and foremost, I'd like to appreciate you for inviting me to this very important program where I met my colleague. He has been a friend of mine for long. We worked together for about 3 years. He was the RCC for Nakawa, and I was the Member of Parliament representing Nakawa East constituency in the Parliament of Uganda. Well, we have had a number of challenges, and I do believe that we need to really, as leaders, sit down and handle these challenges the way they are supposed to be handled. When you talk about trade order, it's one of the great challenges that we have. And it has been perhaps because of the poor planning of us leaders. We wouldn't be having vendors on the streets if we had planned well. So our priorities, the way we select our priorities is an issue. Street vending has become one of the biggest challenges, and simply because government has not organized the informal sector, where we have over 70% of our people that do add to the economy of Uganda. Because I want to tell you the truth is that our economy purely depends on the informal sector. But have you organized the informal sector? Not. We would have perhaps constructed a number of markets as necessary for business, because markets are necessary for business. But we get money handout and give to these vendors who have no decent workspaces, and all they do, they think by themselves and go on the streets of Kampala. If we had gotten the PDM money, set out decent workspaces with these people, then later, perhaps when they are settled, give them money. So we need, as government, think about dealing with infrastructure other than getting money handouts and give to these people.
That being said, one of the things that Sheikh Kamjisha here pointed out is the fact that the current regime of leadership that we have, especially in the body politicking, has been keeping its hold onto the capital on the stance of survival. And so they've been building all their manifestos or all their treatment and approach to Kampala and its issues as a way of surviving and holding on to power versus serving the people. How do you see that? Is that something that you've seen yourself, because you have been part of this Kampala administration before?
It's evident that I'm not that type of leader. And he can attest to this. No, you don't have to be that type of leader, but you have worked with some of the
Yes, I have, previously. Because you know, we have different styles of politics. Some of the people believe that in the city defiance should be the way to go. But I do think that people need services. And as such, I have offered myself to be that leader that will offer leadership towards service delivery. I am a victim of a bad road. I know how much we lose as a country because of jam. So we need to deal with the transport in the city, public transport. I know how much we lose because of floods. So we must handle that challenge critically. I know that recently we lost lives because of poor garbage management. Our city is one of the dirtiest cities in the world. So I know the effects, the bad effects of poor management of garbage. And as such, I'm saying no. Let me leave my station at Parliament. Believe me, I would be a member of Parliament. Even the next term.
You'd be expecting a brand new car.
Perhaps. But I've offered myself to come and get this small salary, but have a legacy to leave.
Okay.
So I am not the type of leader that is going to see Kampala deteriorating because I want to keep my position. So as Lord Mayor.
Yeah. Reflecting to the past trade orders that have been given in the last 10 years, we're looking to 4 trade orders that have been given towards CBD Kampala, and they all have not yielded to anything. Otherwise, we wouldn't be seated on this table today having this discussion. We'd be talking about other different things, exactly. Perhaps a regional integration of our trade and communities. So that being said, if we have not seen a continuous implementation, if we've not seen sustainability, as Sheikh Kasim here referred to it, if we have not seen consistency in maintaining the previous trade orders that had been given, right from the president, who has also given some of these trade orders, then how can we expect anything different?
No, unless we deal with the problem, the critical, the foundation of the problem. The problem is unemployment. Unless we think of investing in infrastructure, and in particular, deal with
so which infrastructure would actually correlate with dealing with the unemployment issue?
You build markets. I told you markets are a nursery for business. So build markets. I will give you a typical example of a parish that is in Oz. We have Mutungu Parish, the biggest parish in the country, with over 120,000 people, with no single market. So you cannot say that the people that bring services closer to the people have done a disservice. Because of lack of markets in these areas, people take services closer to them through hawking, through street vending. And because you've not maintained order, trade order, even those that are in the markets with decent workspaces will come in the streets, because it's closer to those that need the services. I don't know whether you get me well. So people have now left even those spaces in the market to come and get clients. So, but if you are to basically deal with trade order, you must make, first of all, those decent spaces available, then evict the people into the market and keep that trade order. Otherwise, you're dealing with a problem that will never go, a problem that may create another problem. You have seen that majority of those people perhaps were thugs, were thieves, and they ended up on the streets selling some of the commodities, and now you have chased them away. They are going to get back into their earlier work of terrorizing our communities. And that's the reason you have even seen that insecurity has now gone high. Yesterday we saw someone being cut during the day. So don't remove a problem to create another problem. I am saying, look, why don't you give me now a bigger budget to at least have 2 markets constructed in every division every day. But and that is the presidential directive.
Engineer, speaking of markets have been constructed. I do believe first listen to me. Markets that have been constructed. If KCCA can stand and say that there's existing spaces in just the 17 markets that they do have around Kampala to be able to accommodate some of these, you're looking at 2,500 spaces that are available to accommodate, at least to take some of those that have been taken off the streets. But even the street people themselves, one, don't want to go to the markets. Why? Because it comes at a cost. They have to pay taxes, and they cannot afford that, because the chukumi they get on the street is supposed to directly improve their livelihood. So that in tandem won't work. Yet KCCA is saying that there's space in the already existing markets. So when you say constructing of more markets, yet we're not even seeing a full utilization of existing markets, isn't that recreating the same problem? You will build the 2 markets you want, but who's going to sit in the 2 markets?
Number one, I want you to tell me the markets that KCC has constructed. Less Wandegeya and Busega. All these markets are in a sorry state. There are no spaces actually. We have 35,000 street vendors plus hawkers. and you have only 2,360 spaces in the markets, and you think you will have done a service? Absolutely not. Even those that have been constructed, if you got one day gear, it has the poorest design. You know, we have gone out of the country, we have seen, we have benchmarked, but the design alone is contemporary. We need a kind of a traditional market, tradition in the sense that people can actually see what they are going to procure, get attracted to them, and be able to go and buy. But markets like that have been constructed like arcades cannot work. If you went out there, you will see big open spaces, partition, with one having a view at the items, at the products that you want to buy. Those are the kind of markets that the people of Kampala would wish to have. Those markets having segments, all compartments, all partitions for different items. You have a market where, you know, there is no trade order itself in the market. You have people selling bananas here. You have butcher here. You have you find another one having some bananas, some items at the end of the market, and you find the people, even the clients, getting confused. This is not how it's done out there. Different commodities have compartments where someone will go and they need tomatoes, and the tomatoes are in that space. He goes for beef, he goes to a butcher, and there are quite a number of butchers. He goes to buy fish, and there are aquariums with live fish. Those are the markets that we wish. Not this type of market that is like an arcade. You go into the building and actually no one can see you. So we need better designs.
Yeah.
We need...
Engineer, I'm going to come to you, but I'm going to leave you a question to ponder on as I come back to you. If in case you're not given the money to construct the two markets that you would believe are a solution to this problem right now, what would be your alternative solutions to deal with this in your tenure when you're sworn in as Lord Mayor? Coming back to you, to Sheikh Kasim, he has mentioned the realities on the ground that even though KCCA says there's space to accommodate these vendors, it can't uptake all of them, and yet you have been one that has interacted with the city through your leadership, and I know that in one way or another you've had to deal with issues of market people and vendors. Why don't vendors want to go to the market, and what are the underlying issues in the market administrations themselves that have hindered people from actually utilizing that opportunity?
Omorodi, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
I'd not met you since you were elected. And I wish you the best, because I have worked with you and I have confidence. Thank you. Two things. One, our people have got a centralized mindset. A vendor thinks that he will not sell his product if he does not bring it to the CBD. But people who buy from CBD are people from Ruzira, people from Chireka. They're the ones who are coming to the CBD. So a person has got a mindset that if you want to sell a product, you have to carry it and bring it to the central business district. Whereas it is true that it is densely populated in terms of the inflow of people, but if we worked on the mindset of our people that you can sell from where you are, I think that could create a breathing space. But also, why people would, because this has been ongoing. It's a discussion which we had when I was at Nakawa and with KCCA. people will always tell you that when you go to a market like Usafi, there is no standardized cost of a store. Stores have been bought by maybe Kasim Kamudisha and would want to do brokerage to people who would want to utilize the stores. So what would be the price of a store becomes double. And someone begins calculating, why would I pay double the price to Kasim Kamudisha to go and be in Usafi? Why don't I maneuver and be outside Usafi? Save that money, but also be maneuvering around. So the critical issue is, do we have a standard value or standard price for a store, or standard payment for a store, monthly, quarterly, or per year? So that someone fixes the mind that when I'm to be in Usafi, this is what I need for a month, this is what I need for a quarter, for a year, and it will be constant. Number two, management of the markets. And the road mayor will agree with me that this has been a very serious problem. At Nakawa, where I was another CC, there were continuous problems of market management. People are claiming to be landlords, but the government is the owner of the land where the market is seated. So there is now a contradiction. Who owns the market? Is it government or the people? Now, if that contradiction does not get solved, then you always have a problem, because someone will not want to risk their money in an area where there is no certainty. You know the problems of Nakasero market, the problems of Barikudembe. The whole issue is we need a market management board within the city to streamline the management of the markets in Kampala. And by the way, there is a plan of having a market in every division. Yeah. By the time I left Nakawa, 2 per division, there had been a process of acquiring land. I might not know how far it has gone, and that was to ensure that you have got enough land, you construct markets, and these vendors get where to be. I believe, and I've got confidence that in these 5 years, we should see that one happening, so that we have a consistent trade order within the city. And you see, the happening of this can't be because you have a new road mayor or you have got an ED. It must be by a concerted effort of all stakeholders and players within the city. A road mayor will not tell me that you will manage the city alone.
No, absolutely.
No. You are the body politic, but there is a technical, they are the business community whom I have got a problem with. Because world over, the business communities have got very serious trade unions, very serious associations which can advocate for better policies to facilitate their trade within their areas. But here you'll find you have got this, you have got this, you have got 4 bodies, each one is acting in isolation, and at the end of the day they have got no clear direction. So we need a discussion of all stakeholders, all players, to ensure that we have got a consistency in the implementation, actually in having an organized city. And finally, you have 35,000 vendors. You have got 2,500 spaces in the available markets in the whole of Kampala. This is a bit tricky. And I would sound very radical, and I would not have regrets. There has to be a way of licensing the vendors as they go into these markets. The way of identification. Who are you? Where are you coming from? What is your purpose within the city? I could be hiding under the cover of vending, but when I'm a criminal, what is my record? Do you know my record? If you went into the files, the state files, how am I profiled? So if I'm a profiled criminal, in the last 5 years I've been in the police for 10 times because of burglary, why should I be under the cover of vending in Kampala? So there has to be profiling of these vendors. I'm speaking from a security point of view. Because as he said, we saw someone being hacked during daylight, people pulling out pangas and cutting someone. Now, and one of them was seated as a vendor on a form doing something. If this person was profiled, it would be very, very easy to track him and know. So there has to be a systematic system of profiling vendors within, not only vendors, but the business community within Kampala. I'm sounding radical, but I'm a student of Duterte Rodriguez, the former mayor of Manila. The man was very radical, and he transformed Manila in Philippines. Managing the city requires dialogue, yes, but behind dialogue, there must be strategic coercion to ensure that you take charge of the city. And I would not regret rallying behind some voices which are saying that we cannot leave the city to be in the hands of everyone. We have got strategic leadership coming in, which is objective. They must be supported to ensure that we have got what we need of the city of Kampala. And to me, I would not take regrets. Road Mayor, the mantle is in your hand. We need an organized Kampala. As an engineer, as you said, Kampala needs a brain which is objective and progressive.
Sheikh Kasim, just to follow up on some of the submissions that you've made, you did make mention of an existing plan to at least have a construction of 2 markets within
per division
yes. Here in Kampala.
Yes.
When was this plan ascended to?
I learned of it, and formally, as a former assist of Nakawa, that was in 2024. Around May, June. Mm-hmm. And to me, it was really something very interesting. You have got 2 markets per division. Maybe you have one in Nakawa East. Nakawa West, you have another one. And I think nobody would want to move from Ruzira to come to the CBD when there is a market around Gorobi. It would be really very satisfying.
Okay.
So for me, I think it's a good projection if we can have it.
All right. You also did make mention of the fact that you have a problem with the business community of Kampala.
Yes.
What is that problem?
You see, when you look at the politics, for example, of the UK, there is a party which is based on the labor unions. I don't know what has stopped our traders in Kampala, because it is their city. And not only Kampala, even in other cities, Jinja, you have Fort Portal, you have got Arua. The traders must take charge of the affairs of their cities. Why would we have, and this is something to ponder about, you have got a central executive committee of a political party, NRM for example. It has got a member elected to represent entrepreneurs. You have got a parliament whereby all members of Central Executive Committee, especially interest groups, are reflected within Parliament. But you do not have a member of Parliament specifically representing the business community in Parliament. But Parliament has got to debate policies and issues that affect the business community within the cities. How are they being represented? What has stopped the amendment of laws to have a voice of the traders in those various layers of strategic leadership of our country? So the trade union, the traders must form themselves into formidable force that can, with working with the body politic and the technical wing of the cities, to champion policy formulation within their areas of operation.
Okay.
Because we are seeing the youth represented, the PWD, the elderly, what about the traders, who are the biggest taxpayers in our country? So for me, I think we are lacking seriousness and strategic leadership within our business community to form themselves into a force that can be driving towards policy formulation that affects the business community within Kampala and subsequent cities which are coming up.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Sheikh Kasim, who has given 2 recommendations. One, profiling of all vendors that are yet to be entering official markets, and really profiling of all business people by and large within the trade line of the heartbeat of Kampala. But he has also made mention of the fact that trade unions must have a seat at the political table. They should have representation in one of the highest offices, one of those being the Legislative House. So that's some of the recommendations that he has given. So allow us to take a short breather and reconstruct ourselves. With my guests, we'll be back to give more insight to this discussion. Do stay with us. Now, different people are watching this program from different lenses and glasses. So one can see the glasses half full, another can see the glasses half empty. Someone here on social media has said, in English translated as even us as vendors, we matter. So as you gave us an ultimatum in 2 weeks, even us, we've given you an ultimatum in 2 weeks, we shall be back on the streets. That's how people are seeing this glass, either half full or half empty. Coming back to you, engineer and Lord Mayor-elect, I left you with a question to ponder on this subject matter. Before we go into that, we had made mention of the fact, Sheikh Kasim here had alluded to the fact that traders of the business community need a seat at the table, the political table to be exact, and he alluded to it as high as the Legislative House. And of course there was comparisons that were being made that no, there's representation in the Legislative House for the other special interest groups. Why not the business community? And you're looking to special interest groups that include youth, women, people with disabilities, even workers. And there was a debate that I thought the worker is one and the same. Whether informal or formal, all of them are workers. To which I just need clarification from you that sits in the August House. When we look to the statutes and the instruments that be in constituting what we call interest groups, workers being one of those special interest groups, which worker are they referring to?
We know we have 2 sets of workers. We have the informal sector and the formal sector.
Yes.
But I think the law critically looked at the formal sector. And yet, all of them are regarded as workers. And we had a plan in KCCA of formalizing almost every business so that people can begin tapping from government sources. There is money that is given to people through banks. We had the Youth Capital Venture Fund, we had, which was given to banks to be able to give to young people in business. And those must have had registered businesses, and therefore they are formal. When you have a registered business, then you are formal. So
even government support and funding for development considers a worker as the formal formal concept.
Exactly. It would. The PDM has come out to help these other people, the informal sector. And I'm saying, look, you cannot spend that money to people that you have not organized. Can you be able to, first and foremost, have decent workspaces for them before you give them that money? Because it's actually the money that they have used to come on the streets. They have a lot of money. They are using that money without decent workspaces. And KCCA team, some of them are even thugs. We have thugs in KCCA that come and through corruption get money from these guys, keep them on the streets. So we must formalize this matter. I am saying the policy, what does the policy say?
Information. Where I was coming from the party I subscribe to, we have got a Central Executive Committee, and on that committee you have got special interest groups. And part of the special interest groups, you have got Entrepreneurship League, Entrepreneurs League, headed by Basajja Baraba, Haji. And you have got the Workers' League. So entrepreneurs are given space at Central Executive Committee. Workers are given space at Central Executive Committee. Workers are represented in Parliament. But entrepreneurs are not represented in Parliament. Entrepreneurs, we are talking about the business community, taxpayers from their businesses. Now, how do you formulate policies affecting them when they are not represented on the legislative
and their own voice is not heard at that level? All right, Engineer, earlier on we had been making points here and there, and you had made some recommendations.
Can you help me make this clear on the matters concerning employment? You know, we have a very big challenge. And I think recently I was seated with the minister trying to articulate those issues. Majority of the service delivery...
Which minister were you having this conversation
I was conversing with the Minister of Local Government, Magisi. And he actually told me, you're right, and some of this information we don't have. You know, majority of the policies, majority of the service deliveries depend on some of these policies that are outdated. For instance, we have a policy on education that clearly states that every parish should have a government-aided school. Every parish should have a government-aided school, and that the schools are based on parishes. PDM money is based on parishes. But we have a parish in Kampala that is bigger than a district. For instance, Mutungo Parish, where the minister resides, it has 120,000 people, and you're giving it 100 million. Like a parish in Bugisu that actually has 35 households. So you can see a problem. So we have more people in parishes. Here in Kampala, for instance, we have 99 parishes. It's only recently that one of the politicians took the minister to courts of law and was able to divide his parish into 3. That now we have 101 parishes. So, because we base service delivery according to parishes, we have a challenge there. We have a challenge, we have a gap.
Okay, just so I hold you there on your school of thought, you said that every parish should be having a government-aided school.
Yes.
That's under the education policy, but that's not the reality.
It's not the reality. And particularly in urban
Sheikh
parishes.
Here said that it's a development plan under the authority that each division should have a market or 2, and that's a working plan. So if government has not been able to achieve the government-aided school existence in every parish, what can we base on to think that just the authority at authority level or at Kampala administration level we can have the achievement of that strategic plan in existence within maybe a next year or 2 years?
First and foremost, I would like to tell our viewers that Kampala is so disorganized that it has no physical development plan at work. It hasn't.
It has a plan in existence, but doesn't have a plan in works.
The plan expired a long time ago.
When did it expire?
Some good years ago, and it has never been implemented anyway. Even that
the
expired.
one that was expired, yes, was also not implemented.
Was not implemented at all. So we need government, particularly cabinet, to immediately approve the structure plan so that we can have a detailed physical development plan.
And so the structure plan
that I'm going to do. That I'm going to do.
Okay.
You know, the question you did ask, what are we going to do? The beautiful thing is that today we're in the budget cycle. And we want to bring this out, the challenges out, so that members of parliament, ministers, all key stakeholders may appreciate the challenges that Kampala has, so that we may be able to address these in the next budget. I am a shadow minister for Kampala, and as such, I'm supposed to draw an alternative policy statement that we shall address in Parliament. And I'm trying to lobby my colleagues in Parliament to make sure that this economic hub, which is Kampala, the sitting room, which is Kampala, should be handled differently. And believe me, even the previous budgets, I tried to address that. You can ask the minister. We got money that we had never gotten before because of the way we handled issues. We have a budget of about 950 plus billion, and simply because we worked together to address those critical challenges of the city. But we should also think about creating alternatives. You can find now a university degree holder on the streets of Kampala, hawking. Why don't you create alternative employment opportunities? This is what I'm going to do. And I've done this before. He will clearly attest that at one time, I organized businesses, people's businesses in Akawa, by making sure that I skill those young people. And it's from that even government was able to have skilling the girl child in from Nakawa. So we think that if we train our people in vocation skills plus financial literacy, we shall be able to create alternative employment other than street vending.
Okay.
Yes.
You have talked about priorities, and it's something that you actually emphasized at the beginning of your submissions on this table. And in your alternative paper, what are your key priorities?
In the city?
Yes, as the shadow minister.
The first one is garbage management. Garbage management. Very critical. But before we go to that, I intended to, first of all, think about changing the mindset of our people.
Very critical.
Mindset change. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So as you deal with that, I know that Sheikh Kasim, you have some responses to some of the things that the engineer has put on table. But one of the critical ones that I'd like you to respond to is the budget reality check. Yes, kudos to the government for having drastically increased the budget for management of Kampala to 955.93 billion Ugandan shillings, 460 billion having been released by Q2. As we're getting into the next financial year, it's the budgeting cycle right now. What are Kampala's projected infrastructure deficits ahead of the next financial year?
First and foremost, a budget is a reflection of a plan to service delivery, but also to, case in point, Kampala, infrastructure development, not forgetting garbage management. So the 950 billion is, in my view, is to finance services, to finance infrastructure, and of course, including the garbage management. The emphasis must be put on road infrastructure. One, maintenance, because we have a very infrastructure which must be maintained, but also increasing the volume of tarmac within Kampala and widening our roads, plus a critical point of flood management, drainage system. And that could create a deficit in our budget but which can be provided for by supplementary. That's why the window of supplementary is there. It is there because there will always be issues upcoming that require to be financed. And so you need to have that window. And therefore, my thinking is that the 950 billions will not be enough, because infrastructure development of any city in the world is continuous. We cannot have an end to road maintenance. We can't have an end to new tarmac additions. And therefore, we shall even end up to $1 trillion and something in the next 5 years from now. Now, for garbage, for me, I have a problem with this song of garbage. Why would we think about piling solid waste somewhere? Why don't we think about how to decimate this waste into renewable energy? In progressive cities, solid waste and liquid waste management is now producing energy for cities. It's producing electricity, producing power. So why would we think of having another Chitezi where you want to fill a garbage? Why don't we think about having experts on board to come and guide our city on how to use this solid and liquid waste to have renewable energy for our city? Because it's practical. It can be done. Ethiopia is doing it. Addis is doing it. Venezuela, they are doing it. Why not Kampala? The problem we have is that sometimes you have got planners of cities who have had education in the city, primary, secondary, university, and they have not gone outside. So they are planning within what they know. They have not gotten that exposure. Okay. So to me, I think really the problems of Kampala can be managed, especially when we have got a progressive and
without a
objective
doubt, the problems of Kampala can be managed because we have seen management that works before. So anything with good management will always see the light of day and with good spirit.